My name is Laverne. I'm the chair of the school building committee. And we're here today to celebrate a major milestone for our community. Today marks over 6 years of tremendous work done by so many people. And as we get ready to open the doors to our new middle school, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you that came here today to celebrate with us. And thank you to all of those that made this possible. First, thank you to the school building committee for their tireless, sorry, lost my place there. For their dedicated service to our town and their thoughtful decision-making during countless hours of meetings. Thank you to Doran Whittier and Daedalus Projects and Agostini Bacon Construction for their tireless work to design, plan, and complete this project on time and under budget. Thank you to the school committee, Board of Selectmen, town administration, and all of the other town boards and committees for their unwavering support of this project. And welcome back to our former superintendent, John McCarthy, who's without his untiring focus on education, this building would not reflect the design and plan that it is today. And thank you to our new superintendent, Ron Griffin, for stepping up during these last months to get the project open. And also thank you to Ryan Lynch and Paul Donlin for their time and effort and countless hours that they spent on this project in meetings every time. And just a special personal thank you, oh, I'm going to get emotional, sorry, to my family and friends for supporting me during this whole process. And then last but certainly not least, I'd like to welcome and thank the Massachusetts School Building Authority for their support and openness to our vision and design. And so I'd like to welcome Jack McCarthy, Executive Director of the MSBA. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. At first I said, Sunday afternoon I have to come down here, but you people are so psyched and pumped up. I'm so glad I'm here. First of all, on behalf of Treasurer Goldberg and the rest of the board and staff at the Mass School Building Authority, thank you so much for inviting us. You know, the mission of the Mass School Building Authority is to partner with Massachusetts communities to support the design and construction of educationally appropriate, flexible, sustainable, cost-effective public school facilities. And this project certainly meets that ideal. Benjamin Franklin once said, an investment in public education pays the best interest. And we at the MSBA are proud to be your investing partners to the tune of a little bit more than $20 million, which represents 44% of the eligible cost. You know, one thing that you guys should know, and maybe you already do, but it's incumbent upon me to tell you, you know, you have a wonderful legislative delegation. Jim Cantwell, who I've known for many years, knows everything about this project, was bugging me all the time about it. And that's bad for me, but that's good for you guys, because it shows that he's paying attention. And then Representative Machino and Senator O'Connor, they're newer friends to me, but they cared just as much and were just as involved when they were elected and sworn in. So a round of applause for the leadership of your legislative delegation. Robin already mentioned Daedalus, Doran Whittier, Bacon Agostini. I saw Sean Nolan from Daedalus earlier, and I said, how'd the project go? And he just was effusive in his praise of the other two contractors. And that's when you know, the other two consultants, I should say. And that's when you know you had a good project, when the first thing is how everyone cooperated, how everyone got together, and what a beautiful building this turned out. So, any of the contractors here, raise your hand. Anybody from Daedalus? Where are you, Sean? I saw you earlier. Shane, Jesus. Sorry, Shane. All those Irish names are alike. They're hard for a guy like McCarthy to get those Irish names, you know? No one else here? All right. Well, tell them we gave them a great round of applause. Don't even do anything. They're not here to heckle. You know, one of the great things about being the executive director of the MSBA is days like this, and I can come here and take all the credit for everything, but really, you had some outstanding MSBA staff members on this. Chris Allers, Jana Pekalis, and Rich Hudson, who came down all the way from Wakefield. Rich, stand up. He was your program manager, and he wanted to be part of this day as well. Dan Valentine, a writer from Salt Lake City Tribune, once described this school as a building of 4 walls with tomorrow inside. I'm proud to be a little part of tomorrow for the Spartans. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Ron Griffin. I'm the Superintendent of Schools, and on behalf of our entire faculty and staff, I'd like to welcome you to the Lester J. Gates Middle School. It's an exciting day for our district, for our school system. This incredible school behind me marks a milestone for our schools. It's a culmination of 6 years of work and countless hours from many individuals. I'd first like to thank Robin and the entire building committee. They're an incredible group of people dedicated to this community. Thanks to their strategic planning, their attention to detail, and many, many late nights, they took this building from just an idea to a reality for our students. Of course, I'd like to thank the Massachusetts Building Authority and Jack and his entire team. They recognized the need this community had for a middle school. They appreciated the value in the proposal, and they helped us make it possible. I'd like to thank our school committee for their leadership and their vision. Over the past 6 years, they have helped shepherd this project from idea to reality. Over those years, we've had Janet Taylor, Rich Hebert, Peter Gates, Janice Limbaum, Michael Hayes, Brenda Bowen, and our current chairperson, Mr. Michael Long. And this new school is a direct result of a school committee that is committed to giving this town the best educational experience for its kids. Thank you to our former superintendent, John McCarthy. Without his vision and his expertise and energy, this project could not have been possible. When he first arrived here, it was just a statement of interest. And he took that statement of interest, that idea, and helped grow it into what you see behind me today. Of course, a huge thank you to our project manager, Shane, as well as all of the folks at Agostini Bacon, Daedalus, and a big thank you to the work that they did together in partnership with our school committee, with our entire community, and with our entire team administration. Someone mentioned it briefly just today about the work that had gone in, the number of hours that had gone in. There were countless. But when I stand here today and I see this building ready to go, on time for the school year, and under budget, that cannot be possible without a tremendous partnership between all of the members. And a special thank you to Shane Nolan, who helped keep all of those members focused on this building and get it done. Thank you so much for that. I'd also like to take a minute to thank a few folks who don't normally get thanked at these events. They often work behind the scenes. They're the folks who work tirelessly, don't usually end up at the podium, but without them, this building and projects like these never get done. Mr. Paul Donlin, Mr. Bob Dillon, and our entire custodial staff have been working around the clock, especially in the past few weeks, to get this building ready for our kids, for our staff, but simultaneously get the other 5 buildings ready in our district, and they have done a yeoman's work. Please give them a round of applause. And finally, I'd like to thank you, our community. You believed in this school. You've been behind it. From our Board of Selectmen to our taxpayers, that's the impetus that was needed to make this project happen. And this innovative place of learning that's behind me would not be here without you. So thank you for investing in the future of the Scituate Public Schools, bless you, and the future of your students. And that's really what today is about, right? This is a celebration of our future. One of the things that I find inspiring about this building is that this symbolizes a vision that this community had, that this staff had, and us, the entire community, teachers, staff, administration, coming together to make it possible. And while I'm new to the district, I feel inspired by this community's commitment to their children's education. And I'm excited to work with all of you to help build that future together. Together we can build a future in which the Scituate Public Schools not only continues its tradition of excellence, but expands on it. From the classrooms, to the stage, to the sports fields, we can chart a future together for our students that gives them new opportunities and unique learning experiences that prepares them for life long after they leave. We can chart a future in which the Scituate Public Schools serves as an educational leader in our state and throughout the nation, with a focus on creating authentic, hands-on learning experiences. We can serve as a true example for student-centered teaching and learning, education that inspires pre-K to 12. Together we can chart a future in which our teachers serve as role models for other instructors so that they may learn the innovative instructional strategies that we've cultivated here that actively engage and challenge kids. From project-based learning to cutting-edge STEAM experiences to creative modes of expression, we can chart a future in which our teachers share their expertise and their craft with staff from down the hall and around the world. We can chart a future to prepare our students to compete in what is becoming an increasingly globalized society, ready to tackle new challenges and to pursue the careers that don't exist today. A future in which our students use what they learn here in Scituate to make the 22nd century better than the 21st. And if we work together, we can chart that extraordinary future for our schools, for our students, and our community. And that future can begin today. Thank you. I'd like to welcome the principal of our middle school, Mr. Ryan Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Good afternoon. This is a special day as we celebrate the opening of the new Lester J. Gates Middle School. Just have a couple of quick things. I know we don't have a lot of time before the students want to rush right in and check it out, so I'll try to be brief. First and foremost, having 6th grade back at the middle school is a welcome addition. We are excited to have families for 3 years. Teaching and learning is about relationships, and to be able to have students in our building for 3 years and really get to know them, that's something that we're very excited about. So thank you. So this week, in thinking about how far this vision has come in 5 years, I reached out to the students who were in middle school at the time we did the visioning process. One of those students was Birch Swart, and I asked him, I said, is there anything you'd like me to share? And he said that he was excited to be part of that process because he learned it wasn't about passing a test, but about learning how to collaborate with others, and that's something he's looking forward to for the students that are going to be able to come to this building. Will Granatino, who was in 8th grade at the time, said that this design would allow everyone's opinion to be heard. And lastly, Hannah Sullivan, who was a 7th grader at the time and now will be going into 11th grade next door, she said that the design would enable students to be in a building that sparks a love for learning. So now that this building is done, I think we've accomplished what the students envisioned 4 years ago. It's not the building alone that will inspire and encourage students. It's the staff at the middle school as well, and they have been preparing since that visioning process began and working tirelessly. Over the past 5 years, they've completed world-class professional development related to learning by doing and project-based learning. Like the students they will teach, the entire staff at this building is ecstatic for the possibilities to come. This building ensures that we will not be limited by our surroundings. From the dock at the vernal pool to the Arts Plaza, you can see this building invites and encourages learning. It will pull us forward, it engages, and that's what students will experience. And on behalf of the staff that work with students, we're grateful and we can't wait for the students to get inside. I would next like to introduce former Superintendent John McCarthy, who I had the pleasure of working with over the past 5 years. John?
It's great to be back and celebrating this day. Most of you don't know this, but my very first day in Scituate was actually before I had even started here. They called me in for a meeting with the MSBA, and they were conducting a senior study of gates, and the old gates. And that was the first time I had seen that school. Somehow, when they did the tour of all the buildings, when they were recruiting me, they left that off of the list. I know why. And so immediately I became immersed in this new idea that was, again, at the time, just an idea of a few people in a community that knew they had to do something but didn't know what that something would be. I had no experience in school buildings. I had been an administrator for about 15 years, but I had never built a school. And so for me, this was a new learning experience. So the first thing I did was reach out to some of my colleagues in the area who were building schools. And I happened to go down to Duxbury and met with the superintendent, who's become a good friend of mine since. And he said to me, if you do nothing else, get Frank Locker. So I said, who is Frank Locker? And he explained who Frank was and what Frank had done for Duxbury. And I believe Frank is here. I think, there he is right there. Frank Locker is here. Frank's an educational planner who was able to take an idea and turn it into a design for learning, which is an amazing thing. He put together 3 days in June that we went down to the Scituate Maritime Center with a group of 47 individuals representing administrators, teachers, parents, school committee, selectmen, other boards and committees in the town, and most importantly, there were 10 students who participated in that process. And by inviting those 10 students, we ensured that this design, students would be at the center of the plan. And when we met, by the third day, the students had literally taken over the meeting, and all of you who were there at that time know what I'm talking about, had taken over the meeting. And I still remember little Hannah Sullivan, 7th grader, standing up and telling us, the adults and the educators in the room, what she needed for her learning. This building reflects what students told us they needed for their learning. But how do you then take that vision that we developed over those 3 days and turn it into reality in a very short period of time? You need an incredible project team. And we had that, beginning with Daedalus, and Shane Nolan has already been mentioned, but Richard Marks, who is the principal of Daedalus, Richard forced us to think outside of Massachusetts, to think outside of the box that we were in, and we visited schools, forward-thinking schools in other parts of the country. We've been to California, we've been to Chicago, Illinois, we've been to New Hampshire, we've been to other schools in Massachusetts, we've been to Florida. And making those trips enabled us to see how education can be different And we were on the cutting edge, I feel, in Massachusetts of what made it different. But then, once we had that vision, we also had to have somebody who could interpret the vision and put it into a plan. And we ended up with an incredible architectural design team led by Don Walter and John Richardson, but also Dean Ober was part of that team. We had Josh Hagan, Jason Boone, Jessica Cargill, Giovanna Chasen, and at the very end, Margaret Daly. What this group of people did for us is what you're going to see in a few minutes. They took an idea, they took a vision, and they turned it into a plan. Many architects will come in and tell you what you need to build. They came in and listened to us and built what we wanted. So what you're going to see today is really the creative work of that design team. We had an incredible contractor. The contractor worked extremely well with the architect and the project manager to ensure this project would get done on time and under budget. And when we say those things, everybody loves the under budget part, but the time was incredible too. We actually built this school in less time than we were told that it would take. And that's because we were uncertain whether we'd get one more year out of that building down the road. We didn't know what was going to happen to that. That team made it happen. The Massachusetts School Building Authority, they held our feet to the fire. They made us abide by the rules, and the rules work. They are an agency that works, and one of the things they said to us from the very beginning is that you will build a school that meets the needs of your community. Don't worry what they're doing down the street or up the road. Make sure that you have an educational plan that designs your building, and we did that. This building is forward-thinking, yet it honors the traditions of the past. This building, as you have heard, is using innovative educational practices, going to be teachers working together collaboratively in ways they've never worked together before. And I would also like to give a shout out to the people who made this happen behind the scenes in terms of the educational planning, because we had to get our teachers ready for this. And Sarah Shannon, who was the original principal of Gates when this plan first began, and also Ryan Lynch, who took over after Sarah left, and as well as Dr. Jill Prue, the assistant superintendent, they put together a solid professional development plan that ensured our teachers would be ahead of the curve when they entered this building. This school is about kids. We designed it for student learning. We designed it for them. So not only will they get the benefit of all of the educators who have come before, but the educators yet to come, because we've built a building that will adapt to the future and be able to build upon what our current system is and make it even better. I hope all of you are as pleased as I am. I got to go in and see it today. I haven't seen it in a couple of months since I retired, and it just looks fabulous. It's everything we believe in June of 2013 needed to happen, and we put the team together and worked together to make it happen. I want to thank this community for standing behind this project. I know this was difficult, I know it was expensive, but this is going to be worth it. And we said it 4 years ago, we'll say it again, in Scituate we don't build schools for 50 years, we build them for 100. You're going to get your money's worth. Thank you very much.
We'll welcome Peter Gates, member of the school committee.
First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for coming. This is amazing. A lot of events and so on and so forth in Scituate get not very well attended. I wasn't sure what to expect today, but looking around, this is amazing. It makes my role as a school committee member even that much more exciting. I asked Superintendent Griffin who I should thank. He said there's plenty of thanks already to be given in front of me, and he was correct. So I'd like to again thank the community for coming. Also, thank Superintendent Griffin and School Committee Chairman Mike Long for asking me to represent the school committee today. Again, most of all, I'd like to thank the residents of Scituate. This is your building. Thank you for understanding the importance of our children and the educational opportunities they deserve. My name is Peter Gates. I'm here today as a recently elected and excited member of the Scituate School Committee. My platform in the hotly uncontested election was to create a sense of pride in our schools. The newly constructed Lester J. Gates Middle School stands proudly before us. Lester J. Gates, or Papa Lester, as he is referred to in our family, was my grandfather. Like many, or most of you here today, I never had the privilege of meeting Papa Lester. He was the grand portrait that hung boldly in the hallway outside of the main office in the now old Gates School. I passed it regularly when I was a student there in the mid-1980s. He was a source of my pride around town when folks asked if I had any relation to the Gates School. In 1967, at the very young age of 50, Lester passed away. So, why the Lester J. Gates Middle School? Born, raised, and educated in Scituate, Lester made a name for himself. He also had access to all that went on as the owner of the family clothing store in North Scituate. Back in those days, we didn't have the internet or social media. Word traveled through the local businesses, and Lester was always in the know. A giving and caring man who had great respect for his town and those that lived here. He gave back to the community by serving on various boards and committees. His service as chairman of the Board of Selectmen eventually led him to the State House, where he served as a Massachusetts state representative. In the late 1960s, Scituate's population was growing quite dramatically, and 2 new elementary schools were built in order to accommodate the growing number of school-aged children. Following the passing of Lester in 1967, in an effort to honor him for his service and commitment to the town, it was voted at town meeting to name the next school to be built after him. In the several years that followed his passing, the population of the town contracted and the need for new schools diminished. However, in 1974, the old Gates, as we now know it, was going through a major rehabilitation, and it was at that time the school committee voted to name the newly renovated school after Lester Gates. This is just a brief history of how the school was given its name and the admiration this town had for my grandfather. Now, I know we're not here to learn about me, but I think it's important to at least give some perspective that I, like Lester, born, raised, educated, and currently living in Scituate, along with my wife, Lori. We have 2 school-aged children, Zachary and Lila. I should also note that my dad, Harvey Gates, could be characterized as an ultimate townie, having been born and raised in this town while being able to claim that he has lived here for nearly all of his life. In reality, it should be a team effort speaking on this special occasion for our family. My wife, Lori, is an educator and knows much more about I than schools and what makes them successful. My dad, the son of Lester, has the credentials of being a past school committee member, lifelong Scituate resident, and an obvious intimate relationship with the school's namesake. Perhaps he could even be my brother Jonathan, whose middle name is Lester. So there was much debate and some discussion around the name to be given to the new school. At that time, I was not a member of the school committee. I have to admit that initially I was okay in considering other names. I was always going to call the old facility Gates. In my thinking, I didn't necessarily differentiate between a building and a school. A school and a building were the same, right? It took me significant time, much thought, and reference back to my own educational experiences to recognize that the true differences that exist between a school and a building. What we have before us and what we are honoring today is a new school. Our new school is not just the beautiful, newly laid brick and cement that make up the exterior walls, or the unmarked, glistening floors that are laid in the hallways and classrooms. This new school encompasses so much more. Our new school is the teachers. Our new school is the administrators and staff. Our new school is the learning that will take place in each of the new project-based learning centers. Our new school is the performances that will go on in the music room and the lifelong friendships that will be made amongst peers. These are the things that make a school, and ultimately why I came to the conclusion that this new school should be named after Papa Lester. It's not an old dilapidated building that once bore his name, but a school with learning, opportunity, and experiences which will certainly continue in this new site. Perhaps the portrait of Lester that once hung so proudly in the old building will find a new home here, bridging the old with the new school. This new school in its entirety will most certainly be a foundation for success. It will allow each student who walks through the doors the opportunity to reach their maximum potential. It most certainly will prove to be a source of pride for all that are able to call it their school. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome Selectman Vignani.
Thank you, Robin. Wow, what a turnout. Unbelievable, just another evidence of the dedication of the town to this project. You guys know the saying, they save the best for last? In this case, it's the shortest for last. So I'm guessing about 100 years ago today, maybe even actually today, there was a ceremony just like this a few blocks up the road, which means about 105 years ago today, there was a Board of Selectmen and a school committee that had to deal with the needs of the town and how to make it happen. And clearly they made a good decision. They built Gates Middle School. It lasted 100 years. Probably, I estimated, more than 10,000 students may have walked through those doors and got a great education. And fast forward to about 100 years from that date, and this school committee, at that point in time, the Board of Selectmen at this point in time, had to deal with the same issue. And there was so much work and dedication into it. I'm going to be quick and try not repeat too many of the names, because there's really just too many. You know, we literally would have to thank everybody that works across the pond over there in Town Hall, people like Pam Avatablo, the treasurer who got the bonding done, people like Kim Peters who kept the whole thing on track and kept the administrator in the right direction. There's just so many people that did this. There were many people on the Board of Selectmen, there were many people on the school committee that had a lot of say in this, but I'm going to repeat some of the names that are very, very important. First of all, the MSBA, right? Thank you for participating in the project, really making the public really interested in it and really making a cost saving to the taxpayer. So thank you very much for your participation. Give them a round of applause. $20 million. Daedalus, they've been mentioned a ton of times. Shane has been mentioned. I saw him over here a minute ago. Just great professionalism, great hard work, saw the project through, and a great job for your group. Thank you, Shane, whatever you want. The architect, Dorn Whittier, had a local presence there with Don Walter. Don, I'm sure you're in here somewhere. There you are, buddy. Thank you for your hard work and your team's work on this project. And then the builders, Agostino and Bacon, if they have representation here, thank you. As Superintendent McCarthy mentioned, we didn't know if this was going to happen. You know, I think really the weather is what caused this to happen. If we had had a bad winter, we wouldn't be here today. So we had a good winter, construction started early, they got done with stuff, and lo and behold, here we are. So a great job there. The other group that I want to thank, and people have thanked them by their committee name, but I want to go individually. So there was a school building committee that put countless hours into this project, meeting, I don't know if it was every week sometimes, every other week other times, but I just want to read off these names. There's probably about 15 of them, and these people have other jobs, other responsibilities, and they put all this time and energy into this. So if I butcher your name in advance, I apologize, but Carl Campagna, is he here? Carl, thank you for there you are back there. Thank you, Carl. Jason Costello, right here in front. Thank you, Jason. Ryan Lynch behind me. Thank you, Ryan. Paul Donlin. Saw you, Paul. There you are. Scott Greenbaum, right here in front. Thank you, Scott. Kevin Kelly. I saw you with your nice tie on. There you go, Kevin. Robin Levine. We've heard her a number of times. Thank you, Robin. Sean Harris, Board of Selectmen. Among the other things you do, thank you, Sean. Mike Hayes, where's Mike? Mike over there, thank you, Mike. Nancy Holt. Where's Nancy? Right here. Thank you, Nancy. Jerry Kelly. Where's Jerry? Advisory Board. Jerry, thank you. Lori Schneider. Is Lori here? Lori, right behind me. Thank you, Lori. John McCarthy over to my left. You know, the real reason for a lot of the vision that we have here. You know, we were shaking our heads sometimes, like, is this what we're going to do? And you did the research, and it really paid off, and we're looking forward to it. And lastly, Tricia Vengazy, sitting down here. You know, on top of the workload that she has, to have this on top of it is just, well, for everybody here, but it's just tremendous, and thank you for the professionalism you put to that as well. The last person I want to thank is all of you and all the voters in town. So in December of 2014, we had a town meeting, and you had to vote to pass this. It was, I think we had to say it was actually $75 million, and then thanks to the MSBA, they came down to $55 million, you know, just a drop in the bucket. And then it went to town ballot, and in January it passed to get the funding for this school. And without all of you, your dedication, you seeing the vision of the school, you wanting to support all these kids that are here, it just never would have happened. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to this lasting 100 years.
I'd like to welcome Representative Cantwell. Oh, and sorry, and Representative O'Connor. Senator O'Connor.
Pat's going to speak first, but we realize if we speak long, some of these students will become 9th and 10th graders, so they won't be able to have the benefit. Before we do speak, I want to make sure Tony comes back up and have each of you come on up for the citation, and we need a number of students. All these students here, we need about 10 of you. Come on up and surround us here. It's all for you. We need 10. Come on. Tony?
Yeah, come on forward.
There we go.
Folks, I'll be very brief.
All right,
I think that today is a great day for the town of Scituate. It seems that every month we're going to ribbon cuttings, whether it be for the library or for the new public safety building, and it really goes to show the level of commitment and level of investment that the town is making into key essential services. And I think that it's wonderful to come down here on such good note, and this is a huge commitment from the town, from the taxpayers, from the state. But it is why, and it is the reason why, Massachusetts continues to lead the way in public education. And down here on the South Shore, we have some of the greatest teachers and greatest administrators that are doing a phenomenal job. You know, in these walls here, children will aim for excellence, teachers will inspire, and dreams will come true. And I'm so happy and privileged to be here today to thank you all for the work that you put in to make this a reality. So thank you very much.
And we need Jack McCarthy to come back first as well, so we do the official citation. Jack McCarthy, by the way, from the Mass School Building Authority, he quoted Ben Franklin when he opened up. It is not true that they went to middle school together. So Jack, please come along.
We did go to the same school.
You're at the same school. A few quick things. Our new Superintendent Ron Griffin, what a tremendous job, Ron, that you've been doing. It is already. We do want to note that you're dressed up very officially here. And look at Jack. Jack doesn't even have socks on and not wearing a jacket. But the final, as we're going to present this to you, there's a writer that I want you all to look up, all you students, the little guy with the Pokemon hat, and hopefully Brian Lannon behind me. I want you to read about a man named Antoine Saint-Exupéry, who wrote, many of you would know about The Little Prince, right? He, at one point, he wrote a story called Mozart Assassiné. And it was a story because he was on a train with a bunch of students about your age. And he looked at them, and they were migrant workers from Poland, and he thought he was so sad because he saw them, their grimy faces, they had no future, and he thought, he said, among these little students in front of me would be a future Mozart, but that Mozart's being lost because we don't have the proper buildings, the school, and the like. You all have a tremendous opportunity now. We look forward to reading about you all because the great accomplishments you're going to make because of this school. We're so excited for you. So on behalf of the Commonwealth, this is on behalf of your state senator, Pat O'Connor, myself, and Representative Joe Moschino. I don't know how we're going to come around with you guys. Here, why don't we come around this way? Come on. We're going to have you guys hold it. You're going to hold it. All right, you hold it right there, and we'll say... So you hold it in the middle. It says, on behalf of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, your state senator, your state representative, and Joe Moschino, it says, we're extending our congratulations to the town of Scituate in recognition of the opening of this wonderful new Gates School. We know there'll be wonderful things to come from each and every one of you. Congratulations on behalf. It's signed by Bob DeLeo, the Speaker of the House, by Stan Rosenberg, the Senate President, by Pat O'Connor, myself, and Joe Moschino. Congratulations, everybody.
All right, so we're just gonna actually cut the ribbon, and then and then we welcome you all to come through the school building committee members will be, we each have name tags on. You can ask us questions and roam around the new school.